This episode of the Co-optional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain name, website, or online store, make your next move with squarespace.com/cooptional.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-optional Podcast.
No. You're not in it. You're not in the podcast. You're not in the podcast.
I'll move a bit over here. There we go. A bit more in the podcast. There we go. Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about a cloud of angry bees. That's apparently what
That's what we're discussing
little
currently.
thing over here. Yeah, I mean, TwitchCon was basically a cloud of angry bees, so no real problem with that.
Yes.
Indeed, indeed. Well, it's hard to know exactly from the chat whether or not anything they say is accurate about Mike. It's like, the mic is fine, it's just different. Sound is fine.
Yeah, somebody
really
said potato mic, and I was like,
well, I doubt that is in any way true.
Legitimate potato
I
mic.
did test it 3 minutes ago, so I think that is highly unlikely. But regardless of that, yeah.
Mic is fine, mic is fine,
indeed.
mic is fine,
the mic
sound is fine.
is fine. It's just different. Yeah, because I can't bring my entire studio set up on a plane. Funny how that works,
What?
isn't it?
That's nonsense.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
I did realize after we got all of this set up that Gerard did bring in another nice mic that we could have plugged in.
Nah, it's fine. We'd need a stand for it and everything, so.
It's true. I mean, it's on a stand.
It doesn't sound the same.
Yeah, we're
of
fine.
course it doesn't sound the same. Of course it doesn't. You're going to have to deal with it, because there's just the two of us here.
It's
Jesse
true.
is off down under, in a land down under.
Indy.
Down under. He is very much gone to Australia. She'll be... I can't imagine how it's going to go. But I think
I've
that's
never been.
a country that will
so
suit him, I think.
I mean, Jesse loves to see the new sights and meet the new people. So he's excited to go to Australia. I feel bad because I know I have a lot of Australian viewers, and they are fully aware that when I think of Australia, I think of giant versions of things that we have here that will kill me. So,
Yeah, drop bears. Many drop bears. That's a major issue in Australia. You got to watch out for that. A lot of snakes, a lot of spiders, you know.
But I'm sure
rodents.
it's lovely there. I'm sure it's an incredible place to visit. It's just that in America, really all we hear is there's really big versions of terrifying things.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Fairly sure that's how it works.
Yeah.
Man, TwitchCon. Speaking of terrifying.
Yeah, speaking of large versions of terrifying things.
Things, indeed, yep. TwitchCon just happened. 3rd annual TwitchCon, if I recall correctly.
Yes, there have been 3. I didn't go to the first one.
I did not either.
But I did go last year as a guest, and I was there as a guest again this year.
Yep.
So,
how do you feel it was compared to last year? Because I wasn't there. This is my first TwitchCon, so I don't have any frame of reference.
So the biggest difference, honestly, was, and I guess they had like double the people, so just in general, it was bigger overall. But last year, it was very easy to navigate the floor. Like, very, very easy to know where you were. There was lots of breathing room, right? You knew, over here is where all of the, like, peripherals and widgets and extensions are for your stream. And, over here is where all the games are. And over here is, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was very easy to find things. Yeah. But I think this year it felt much more like a PAX. Like, it was dark and there were a lot of people, and it wasn't super easy to know where anything was. I wouldn't say that I got lost necessarily, but there were like specific things that I would use as frames of reference. Like, there's the meetup area, which means the door is that way.
Yeah, because that's like, that was where the route to get to the theaters was, to access these kind of stairs. And then you had the Glitch Theater, which I think was in a different building entirely. I was never there. That was like the major theater.
Yeah.
But it, I don't know. It was a little tricky to get around, I have to admit. Like, they could probably done something to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah. I understand that with a lot more people, they wanted a lot more things to do. And I'm sure with the first two being, pretty successful, they had a lot more companies approaching them saying, we really want a booth at the next TwitchCon.
That, yeah.
And so, it's growing pains, I'm sure. But it did feel much more like a normal con.
It did, yeah. I wouldn't have said upon going there, if I didn't know what it was, that it was a con about streamers. Like, because there were most of the stuff on the floor was basically game exhibits, but whoever had the most money to get the biggest booth, Lineage had a huge presence there. They got Conan O'Brien in. They were throwing money all over the place.
I would say, the biggest booths were like the H1Z1 arena and stuff like that.
Yeah, that had its own room.
Which did focus on like streamers competing. So in that way, they did try to keep it still focused on like streamers, right?
Yeah, totally. It was kind of an all-star battle royale, wasn't it? And they both got pretty good views. I heard both the PUBG event and the H1Z1 event both went over 100,000 concurrents, which is impressive. I gotta say, like, H1Z1 looks a lot better than I remember.
Yeah. I
was watching a little bit and I was like, that looks a lot slicker, a lot faster, something I might actually give another try. Because when I first played it, it was junk. Right. Absolute junk. But they have had a lot more dev time on it than I guess PUBG has. So that probably helps.
Right.
We'll see. There's still a player base for that game. I know a lot of it's a Chinese player base. I was looking at the Twitch stats and also looking at the Steam stats. And there's a time of day where the player base just goes... I'm like, that's when China's asleep. Okay. So that actually makes a lot more sense than I thought. But yeah, it looked pretty cool. Warframe had a nice presence there as well, which is not unexpected. It's a game they're pushing a lot on streamers right now. I've streamed it. I took a sponsored deal from them happily. I'll happily take the money. Their game's fun.
Yeah.
So
well, they've got a thing going currently where you can connect your Twitch account to your Warframe account. And if you have the game open while you also have streams open,
you can get drops.
If the streamer that you're watching gets achievements, then you get loot drops.
Yeah.
So it's like caused this really, like, if you watch, I don't know if it's still going today.
It's still happening, I think.
Is it? Okay. I know that yesterday it was really, really bizarre to look at Warframe in like the game category. Because it would be people who didn't have a very big following, but had crazy viewership because what they were doing is going up until a certain level, deleting their account, and starting over.
Really?
Because they would get, like, rapid achievements right at the beginning.
That seems highly exploitable.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how the system works, but the whole have loot drops when you're watching a stream is something that a couple of games have tried doing. I know Dota did it, which obviously helps. I mean, it's a good enough system. If you're going to watch the streams, getting freebies from it seems like a pretty good idea to me.
Yeah.
I think Elder Scrolls Legends does that as well, actually. It's a good way to kind of encourage people. I've got way too many drops in that fucking game. In Warframe, that is. I'm drowning in them. I went back there and had
so many blueprints.
Like 800 emails of like, you got a mod because someone signed up using your link. You got this. I'm like, I'm not complaining. I'm drowning in platinum. I can buy whatever I want.
Right.
But they have. It's a pretty fun game to watch in general because it is you just murdering the shit out of a lot of people in a cool way.
Honestly, it blows my mind watching that game that it's free.
Yeah.
That game looks incredible considering that it's a free game.
Yeah, they have worked quite hard on it. I remember my first video from like 5 years ago, the game did not look anywhere near as good as it does.
Well, you said it's like a 7-year-old game?
Yeah, it is.
6-year-old game?
Yeah, about 6 or 7 years old. They have been continually just building upon it and building upon it. And there's good things about that, and there's bad things about that. When I came back to it, I was lost. Completely lost. And they changed some stuff. I didn't know about it. The game does a really poor job of explaining stuff that's changed and also then directing you, like giving you a shove in the right direction. Particularly this new, so they've got this new big content, the Plains of Eidolon is their big centerpiece content, right? And it's this open world thing. And I had no idea how to get there. The only reason I knew how to get there, I don't think there's even a quest that takes you where. The only way I knew how to get there is because the subreddit told me where it was. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I know that Sam and Gmart started playing it just a couple of days ago for the very first time. And they very quickly realized, like, we need chat to help us because it's so overwhelming at this point. There's so much, and they just drop you in, and they don't, like, it's one of those situations where it's like, cool, well, what do I do? And the game's like, whatever you want, buddy.
And it's like,
okay, that's not super helpful when I'm trying to learn the game.
Yeah, the main problem with that, the whole whatever you want thing is that, well, they have a quest called the Second Dream, which everybody is very, like, the community for this game is very friendly, and they're also very anti-spoiler. Right. Like, you've got to play the Second Dream for yourself. There's some crazy stuff that goes on. Oh, we don't want to ruin it for you. But you've got to do the Second Dream to unlock a certain system which lets you hurt the stuff that appears at night on the plains of Eidolon. But the only reason I know that is because chat told me.
Right.
So, like, if I ran in at night, saw these guys, shot them, and nothing happened, I'd be like, what the hell is going on? I don't understand this game at all.
Right.
Yeah, and I've said this to the devs. I went up to the devs at TwitchCon, and I said, they're very thankful because apparently my old YouTube video is what actually kickstarted their game for them in a big way. Like, that they were not doing well before that, and lots of people get interested in that, and they attribute a lot of the success to that video spawning a bunch of other videos on other people's channels, everyone getting interested in it, and it kind of snowballed. Awesome. It's cool, because it's a great game. But I said, look, it's like, I understand you love adding cool stuff to this game, but holy shit, like, step back for a few months, look at the perspective of a new player and a returning player, and find out a way to direct them in the right direction.
Yeah.
In some way. Like, whether it be through questing, whether it be through, here's things that have changed since last time, something, because again, I'm just mostly playing based on what chat's telling me to do at this point.
It seems like it's an awesome game, though. It really, like, watching it really does make me want to try playing it.
Yeah, the game is essentially, it's a grind. The game is the grind.
Right.
But the grind is chopping people up into tiny little pieces with really awesome weapons. And, like, any weapon or frame you can imagine, including, like, a Dance Dance Revolution-like frame where you play your own music and that causes things to happen.
Right.
That exists. It's like any weapon you can imagine, this game probably has it. And you can level it up, make it more powerful, make it shoot lightning, make it do crazy shit. And that's the fun part of it, because I don't think the combat ever really gets old in that game. It's stylish, it's fun, you feel like an absolute monster. It's a big power fantasy, The idea they seem to have is, like, let's make everything OP in that game.
Right.
It's like Dynasty Warriors, only more interesting to me. And free.
Gotcha.
And awesome.
And free.
Yeah.
Guys, seriously, just go and look at, like, Google image search this game. And I think that you'll be blown away that this game is free. It absolutely blows my mind. And if you watch the streams, like, it looks really good. It's not like it only looks good in screenshots. It looks really good just in general.
Oh, yeah. The aesthetic, the engine runs really well. The particle effects are almost over the top at sometimes. I have a cape that's on fire and wings and all sorts of other crazy shit. I just grabbed a bunch of their Halloween stuff. They're this really cool cape, and they've got a pumpkin helmet. So you could run around in that.
Amazing.
And I think, like, playing Fashion Frame is, like, the best thing about that game.
Every MMO, at the end of the day, boils down to, like, how do I look fucking cool while I'm shredding through shit?
Yep.
That's, like, the goal, right?
Yep. And you don't have to pay for 3 packs of shaders. Like, hell, shaders in that game are super, super fucking cheap. And you could buy a whole pack of them, and they're there permanently, so...
Right.
Yeah, you could color everything, like every single individual element. Like, you want to color this weapon, you want to color the hilt of the weapon, you want to change primary, secondary, tertiary colors. You could spend hours just messing around with that, And as much as, like, it's technically not an MMO, whatever that really means these days, which is not much, it's still often about hanging around the public area, showing off your cool combinations and all your crazy shit. It's a very, very good game. There's no doubt, And I've been saying that for years, and now I'm happily accepting their money to say it. So there you go. Full disclosure. I got no problem with that. That video paid for my wedding anniversary. We're heading to Vegas, and you and Stripper joining us for that, which is going to be fun. She's never been to Vegas. This is going to be great.
So,
I know we're going to completely ruin her view of Vegas. Or...
Well, fortunately, you and Jenna, like, the way that you enjoy Vegas isn't let's go and just get fucking destroyed every night.
Yeah, we don't do that.
It's let's go and see amazing shows and eat fantastic food, which is literally all that I want out of my life.
That's
so
what
I'm
we're going to be
great,
doing.
It's perfect people to show me Vegas.
Absolutely, yeah. It's got to be fun one way or the other. other things about TwitchCon.
Oh, I did want to mention, so something else that they added this year was that any booth that had a program, like a special program with partnered streamers, there would be there was a picture that said like streamer program or something on it.
Sure.
And so if you were at a booth where, you could just generally talk to them and say like, hey, I'm a partner, do you have any like more information you can give me, or any like streaming programs or anything like that. Some of them had really, like, they all did it in a different way. There was a place, God, I'm trying to remember what it's called, but there were a couple of different booths that are trying to make it so that you can create your own alerts easier. Programs that sort of tie into After Effects and things like that. Just trying to make it so that if you want to have custom shit, it's a lot easier to make it and directly have it, push to your stream. So we were talking to a couple of the companies that were doing that, and their form of like the streamer program was, oh, well, you can have, a month free of our system, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
If it was a game, I think Warframe gave out like
platinum currency, I believe.
They gave out like currency certificates. So Sam walked away with just a shitload of currency.
Yeah, it's
they
always
were
good.
like,
That'll
please stream our game. Here you go.
A little bit of platinum helps you really kickstart stuff. Mostly like to open up more slots for frames. Like you remember how Path of Exile, like the most important thing you buy in that game is like more box space. Pretty much the same kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, there was that.
I saw like Razer was there showing off a new camera where it's kind of basically what you've got up there, which is like you've got a ring light up there.
Yeah, it's a camera with a ring light around
in
it.
it, which I could see the usefulness of it. I've been having nothing but problems getting good lighting, and I just bought one of those as well, and it turned out I'm just white. I'm too white for it. I don't know what I'm gonna do about it. I might have to just move it further away. For the lighting setup, but I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like that Razer camera, at the very least, would be a really good travel camera.
Yes, that's I think the best thing about it.
That was my first thought when I saw it.
Yeah, it's because that light is not very large. Like the camera would have to be quite close for it to really make a difference. But yeah, for travel, just like attaching it to the top of a laptop for streaming, I could definitely see that working pretty well.
Yeah.
They were pushing. It has a dimmer on it as well. You could just twist it left and right. The dimmer seems even better than the ring light dimmer that I've got, which actually doesn't dim that much at all. So I don't know, I might pick it up and give it a try, see how it goes. Although
yeah, why not?
I have to admit, the last Razer camera I had, the Stargazer, was just junk. Like it had really poor quality.
You
like,
never really know
else.
with webcams.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way that they're pitched, it gets you really excited about them, and then once you actually use them, you're like, oh,
yeah,
this actually isn't all that great.
Oh, should I tell you a story about? I was walking past the Elgato booth, right? And I guess, like, one of their guys, they recognized me and flagged me down. And he's like, why are you shitting on our product? And I told him straight up, it's like,
Hi, Elgato.
It's like, because you charge $150 for a green screen that actually should cost $30. It's like, yeah, but, like, it's about portability, and compared to, like, the other products that do that, it's cheaper. I'm like, well, one, the products that do that are also overpriced, and two, who the fuck gives a fuck about portability? Your thing still weighs like 20 pounds. Like, they're not going to be carrying it around. It's like, well, you put it away when you're done. If you got a studio setup, why would you put it away when you're done? Like, if you're going to have a green screen, you'll have a green screen. It's, it's like a very niche of a niche product that's also obviously way overpriced for what it is.
Yeah, honestly, the only way, like, because I've considered, if I wanted to have a green screen behind me sometimes, right? Because typically I like to have my fucking madness in the background. It contributes to my shit. But say that I was playing a game where I was like, I really don't want all of this in the background. I just want me.
Yeah.
I would probably just buy some fucking green fabric and put it on like a pulley system and just like pull it across and then collapse it. Like, I wouldn't ever want to take it with me anywhere.
Use. Like, green screen is literally just green, right? There's no ease of use. Like, 90% of it is not down to the green screen you bought, because literally green fabric will do the same job. It's about the lighting. Right. And no amount of, $150 or $15, it's not going to make any difference. It's all down to, is the room properly lit? If it is, the green screen will work. If it's not, it won't work very well.
Right.
And so I told him very honestly, I said, hey, I use your Stream Deck. It's really cool. It's very useful for the podcast and things like that. And it's good for my tournaments. So keep developing that. I'll happily say the Stream Deck is good. But, I was looking at your capture cards, and none of them are useful. It's like, he shows me this new one. The first thing I ask him is, well, does it have DisplayPort? And can I do high frame rate pass-through for refresh rate? He's like, no. I'm like, well, what's the point?
Super helpful.
Like, you're showing me yet another capture card that's nothing but HDMI 60, which, if I wanted to use a capture card, I need it to be able to pass through my monitors, which are high refresh rate, G-Sync monitors on DisplayPort. I was like, well, you're like very much a niche case. I'm like, yeah, but all your products are being sold in niche cases. You're making
streamers in general are
a niche cases. And any PC gamer, it's probably running. As a streamer, it's probably running a high refresh monitor in most cases. And they might be running FreeSync or G-Sync. A lot of them are going to do that. So maybe think about developing something for that. It's like, well, you're a hard guy to get on, but yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm a hard guy to convince that your products are sort of worth it, because my use scenario and the products you're making are two totally different things.
I mean, I'm sure that it's hard not to get defensive when you're, part of a company talking about your own products, but like, it's important to talk to people who are going to be super straight up with you.
Yeah.
I think, people like you.
I know
a lot of streamers who are super down to talk to companies, but guess what? They're going to be really honest. Like, they're going to be really honest about what they think.
It's like, even asking for me was weird. It's like, well, why do you share the product? It's like, well, what incentive do I have not to? Like, it's like, it's
I'm
like
not
you don't sponsor me. Like, I don't think your $150 green screen is good value. Like, are you upset about that?
Yeah, and like I used to use an Elgato, but to be honest, there are better things out there now.
Yeah.
So you have to keep up. Like, the market is constantly changing. Like, you've got to keep up with what people are offering us.
Yeah. It's like, they're primarily making stuff for console gamers. And obviously, a lot of that stuff's fucking redundant in many ways, because there are tons of capture cards out there for console gamers that work just fine. If you want to make a product that people care about, most of the major streamers are not console streamers.
Yeah.
They are not. They are PC game streamers. And the gear that they want to use is going to be very specific to that. So if you don't make gear that is compatible with that, then, yeah, we don't care. Deal with it.
Honestly, at the end of the day, when it comes to playing on a console, which I, again, do very rarely on stream, but I want something that's going to have the best ease of use. Like, I want something where it's going to transfer over very quickly, where setup is very easy.
Yep.
And it's just gotten easier and easier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it really has. There's a lot of stuff out there for people. And honestly, for PC gaming, especially as CPUs get more and more powerful, we can just stream off the same PC. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Especially when a lot of the games we're playing maybe aren't even that demanding. So it's not an issue. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up as kind of a weird situation at that con where someone flagged me down to try and explain why I shit on their stuff. It's just like, okay.
Oh, gosh. One thing that
so weird.
Sort of adjacent to the like partner program thing, one thing that did make me super uncomfortable is a lot of the booths, if you went up and asked about it, they would say, all right, cool. How many subscribers do you have? Or how many like concurrent viewers would you say is like your highest? And I'm always like, do you have a streamer program? Or like, is this only a streamer program for the elites, or is this a streamer program? Like, I don't understand why I need to tell you
it was
all of that.
Lineage. The guy from Lineage happened to catch me at the Warframe booth before the con opened, because I was just saying hi to the Warframe guys. And he's like, you have a couple of minutes for me to pitch? I'm like, all right, I'll listen to what you have to say. It's a mobile game.
It's the mobile MMO, right?
Yeah, it's like, I warned him, like, look, it's a mobile game. I'm a PC game guy. It's quite unlikely that, but I'll listen to it. And he was on about the Twitch program, and like the second question for the sign up is not how many viewers do you have, not how many followers do you have, how many paying subscribers do you have?
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
Why do you need that information?
That was the first question I got.
And I'm not going to tell you that. Like, that is not information that I'm willing to give you, and it's completely irrelevant to what you're doing anyway. I guess they were maybe using it as a metric for loyalty. How many people show up to every one of your streams and are like big into it.
But again,
I'm not going to answer that question.
I don't understand why they need that information. If it is like a streamer program, like if you're pitching it as, if you're a partner, please come talk to us, then it doesn't matter if we're like a co-carnage or not, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a partnered streamer and I'm interested in your game. What do you have for me? And if it's reliant on me being a big shit, then I'll just leave. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it was quite obnoxious, I think, honestly. Some of the guys get it, they understand, and then some of them, especially the ones who are apparently throwing big budget around, were very, being like, we only want the big guys. I'm like, well, honestly, in that situation, the only people you're going to get are the people just willing to take a big fat check from you. Like, they're not going to legitimately care about your game in any way. Yeah, especially if they didn't come up to you. You went and pitched them. They didn't come to your booth actually actively interested in your product. So, which I think is just a bad way to do it. If you throw $30,000-$40,000 at a big streamer and they're just doing it for the money and they don't care at all about the product, it's going to come across to the viewers.
It's really obvious on
Very
the stream.
obvious. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that was a kind of weird aspect of the partner program thing. It didn't always feel like an actual partner program. Something very positive though, as a comparison from last year to this year, is last year the creative area was literally a corner.
Okay.
Had like maybe 6 people there.
The creator cave.
The creator cave. They still had some of the really nice like fine art stuff like up on display, which was super cool. The Miori's painting of you, I think, was up there.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
And so that was cool, but it was very small, and it was it felt like a legitimate artist alley this year.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people. Something that was odd to me though was not all of them like promoted what their Twitch channel was, and it made me question whether or not they have a Twitch channel or if they're just an artist that wanted to be there,
It's possible. Maybe they just couldn't quite find enough of them. Creative's still very much in the process of building things up.
Totally.
And it's good. I think it's to me, creative is the opposite of IRL. Like, creative is a really positive, supportive space, whereas IRL is not in many ways. Not all streamers in IRL are like that, but you probably heard there was a bunch of pretty nasty negative stuff going on, like that reminded me very much of VidCon.
Yeah.
In the way that some IRL streamers were acting, involving people in their streams who didn't want to be involved, shoving it in people's faces, stalking people, refusing to leave, spying on people's conversations, and in many ways, when we go to like a party and an event like this, it's often because we want to switch off the streamer persona, switch off the constant happy smiling. We're really happy that you watched us. We're doing a meet and greet, and we have to be on 100% of the time because these guys have been waiting in line for us for like 2 hours, and we're going to make sure their limited experience they have with us is a positive one. So we got to be 100% on all the time. We can't have a time when we're like, I'm tired and miserable,
Yeah, when we're in a meet and greet, we want our time with you to be entirely about you.
Yeah.
That's the way that a meet and greet should be, I think. Anything that distracts from that or makes us feel like we can't totally just be comfortable in that situation, I think is going to take away from that.
Yeah, and people say, hey, well, just be yourself. Like, look, there's no one in the world that is their self in a situation like that, because that situation is weird. Like, signing for hours and hours and hours and talking to people and trying to give people the best possible experience. If it was just regular me, that's not enough. Like, we have to try and present the best side of ourselves to these guys who've been waiting for hours, who we'll never meet them again, most likely, who want this to be a special moment for themselves, which means we do have to be on 100%.
I think specifically, if anything, you and I, for the most part, are the same.
Yeah, we don't really have personas per se.
But both TB and I in real life don't talk nearly as much as we do when we're in a meet and greet, right?
No,
like we're
don't
very
smile
much
as much,
actively in the conversation at a meet and greet. It's still like us. It's just we're just much more invested in the conversation and interacting a lot.
And invested in you as like a viewer who's come to us.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do the thing that I might do in a conversation, which is like look past a person's shoulder or whatever, or just be loafed out like this, kind of like, yeah. Which is how I would prefer to be in a lot of conversations. I'm generally a very loafy kind of person,
right?
And all that sort of thing. And you don't want that side of me. Like, most of you don't. If you're waiting in a line for 2 hours, you don't want me to in any way even give off the vibe that I don't care about you.
Well, it was very frustrating the night after that very first party when there were a lot of conversations going on amongst viewers specifically about the IRL streams happening in like partner situation, like partner party situations and stuff like that. It was a little alarming to me to see how many people had feelings along the lines of, well, what do they have to hide? And it's like, I'm sorry. To me, it equates to, say that I was giving, a motivational speech. I like went to a school, right? And there were tons of people there, and I was giving a motivational speech, right? I was very much speaking from the heart. It's not that like I had this whole thing, scripted out and I was playing a character or anything. I just like was there interacting with a lot of people, right? And then it was time for me to go grab dinner with my friends, but I decided, you know what? How about I just have dinner with my friends on stage and you can all continue to sit here and watch me have dinner with my friends on stage, right? Yeah. That's weird. Like, I want to just have private time with my friends.
And a lot of it is like you compare the motivational speech, you have thrown a lot of energy, a lot of effort into that. You've tried to be the most positive and inspiring version of yourself that you can. And you can't keep that up like all the time. That's not being fake. That's emphasizing a part of who you are, something that is actually quite exhausting to do and that you can't do all the time. And yeah, there are also conversations that we'd really prefer were not in public. Maybe we do have a problem with the way another streamer acted, or maybe we do have a problem with something that was at the convention that we'd prefer not to be out in front of 100,000, people. That you all have opinions like that. You all have things that you wouldn't say, you wouldn't want to be plastered all over the internet.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're bad opinions per se, but they're opinions that would cause problems. They would cause it's like, drama. It's pure and simple.
It's private interactions like that don't need to be out there. And also like
context is an issue as well.
Yeah. Something that I hadn't really thought about because I'm not a character streamer, but there are a lot of people like Dr. Disrespect who is a character, right?
Character, yeah.
And when he goes into a situation where it's just other partnered streamers and he wants to just relax and hang out with his friends, he can't do that if people are IRL streaming because then he feels like I need to put my character back on.
Yeah,
because I'm on a stream, and like that's not really fair.
No, it really, really isn't. And going back to the issue of context for a second, if I say something with a group of friends that know that what I'm saying means a certain thing, and then that statement would go out online without the necessary context, that could be misinterpreted by a lot of people. That's really, really easy to have happen.
Yeah.
What if someone just happened to walk past, catch part of a conversation on their camera or whatever, that goes up, you don't know what happened to the rest of the conversation. Hell, I could be quoting somebody else. You wouldn't know that. So there is a reason why people should always be asked for permission when someone wants to film them, because they need to be prepared. Because they're in a position where they know everything they say and everything they do is going to be watched by a lot of people, and it's going to be analyzed and poured over by the internet. And you've got to have your guard up in that situation.
As a person who did a daily vlog for a while there, for a few years there, it doesn't take much for people to pick apart every single thing that you do.
No, and that's in a controlled environment where you planned everything you said.
Yeah, that's
and
in like
still pour over
a video that I uploaded and approved.
Yeah.
Like,
there are people out there who are just waiting to misinterpret whatever you say, waiting to take it out of context to cause trouble. And that's why the consent issue with this filming is so important.
Absolutely. It's all about being respectful of the other people that are around you. We were talking about this actually before we even started Co-optional, but like there were some people who had their cameras in a way where they were picking up everyone around them.
Yes.
And some people who were more respectful about it and had the camera just on themselves.
Very narrow.
Would be like, hey, I'm actually streaming right now. Is that okay? In those situations, I was like, that's awesome. But even up until the very last day of TwitchCon, there were people who interacted with us and were having just like what felt like a normal conversation.
Yeah, you had this experience, didn't you?
Yeah. And then what did they do? It was this girl who was talking with us and asking us a question, and then like she like lifted up her phone a little bit more, and we were like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, Stream really wanted to see what's on his shirt," and was just like zooming in on Sam's shirt, and we were like, "Are you streaming right now? Like,
Yeah,
you
so
did
you
not
started a
tell us
conversation, you
that.
didn't
Like,
tell us
that's
that."
fucked up."
Yeah, but I didn't run into anybody like that. Like, I saw a few IRL streamers. Like, there was one in the partner lounge, but it seemed like he was only going up to people he knew and talking to them. Like, he was deliberately, like, not just going around going after everybody. Like, myself and Northern Lion were, like, standing quite close to him and saw him go up to someone he clearly recognized and clearly knew. And it was also obvious. He was making sure it was obvious that he was filming.
Right.
Whereas some of these guys, like this person you just mentioned, was trying to disguise that fact, apparently.
I was like,
wait, no, that is
that's a chokehold.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think what we're going to see, day zero in particular with that party, some people were asked politely to stop filming.
Twitch staff was so good about, like, every fucking clip that had a title along the lines of "so-and-so gets kicked out of partner party." It was literally
No, it wasn't.
really, like, it was
Polite
like
person.
Hassan or Aurelian coming up and saying, "Hey, I'm really sorry, we're going to have to ask you to take your stream down." And either they acted like a fucking adult and said, okay, sure, got it. Or they threw a big old fit. And guess what? If you act like a fucking child, we all know that you're a child from now on. We all know exactly who you are and exactly how you acted. And that
we
shit
won't
is
get
so
involved in anything you do.
unacceptable.
Yeah, and you do not want to piss off the people who are actually creating content for your stream. Because let's be honest, the reason like people are watching your stream right now ain't for you. It's because you're going around talking to semi-pseudo internet famous people. Guess what? Those semi-pseudo internet famous people know you're a piece of shit. We're not going to cooperate with you. We're going to do quite the opposite. So it's a bad idea, and I would imagine they're going to have more strict rules about it next year. Obviously, there are places in the convention
they
where
are
it's fine.
talking about it in depth now because there were a lot of problems
This
with
was the first big year for that.
threats, with all kinds of just awful shit going on. So yeah, they definitely, again, as I was saying with the convention in general, but I think this was an IRL growing pain situation where, it was an extreme form of this thing, right? Because it was literally TwitchCon.
Yeah.
So having all of these IRL streamers at once trying to like really bank on the convention in that way.
Yeah. A lot of them are from YouTube as well, because like a lot of these guys got kicked off Twitch for being pieces of shit in the first place. So it was actually YouTube guys showing up for that. I mean, in that case, I think Twitch should definitely like fuck off. You're even streaming on a rival website, but it is something they're going to have to consider.
Says the guy who walked around in a YouTube gaming shirt for the entire day.
I hardly know his YouTube gaming jacket.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Completely
it's a very
different.
nice jacket.
It's a very nice jacket. Yeah, it is something they're going to have to consider next year. How they're going to do it, I mean, they could have camera-free zones.
I think that's what they're going to have.
And I certainly think enforcing, if you are going to film on the floor, you need to be conspicuous about it, and you need to very specifically ask permission of everybody that you are going up to. Like, obviously, people caught in the background, that happens, But ultimately, when you film people like that, especially in certain states, they have to sign a release to even be shown. That's why they blur out people. You can't do that with a live environment like this. There is an expectation that you will be filmed in some places. I would like to see the lounge be a no-film area, but the thing is, the lounge was sponsored by a company that said, if you go in here, you can be filmed for promotional purposes. And I think people were also using that as a carte blanche to film in there, and there didn't seem to be anybody stopping them.
Sure.
But having some no-camera zones would be good, and obviously
Did you get your Coke bottle that said TotalBiscuit on it?
No. Hell, I don't think I was even on the badge list. Like, I went there and I wasn't on the badge list. I just called Anna. It's like, can they let me in? It's like, yeah. So it's like, Anna's like, yeah, put this, get him on the badge list or whatever. Some weird stuff going on with that. I think any Twitch sponsored party as well should probably be a no camera, like no IRL streaming zone.
I would expect that in the future that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, and as well as it should be. It's that people are there to decompress and chill out. They do not want a camera shoved in their face. That's not going to make you many friends. And even if there is no camera shoved in their face, you may very well be caught on a microphone for someone who is close by.
Yeah.
And I don't want to constantly feel like I have to be very, very careful of what I say because of that.
Yeah.
It's impossible to be that guarded especially
Right.
when things can be taken out of context. It's nonsense. Yep, so hopefully they sort that out. You know, I didn't have huge numbers of problems with it, but obviously you ran into someone who was bullshitting, and there were other people, and...
I ran into a couple of situations. Fortunately, not to, like, self-burn, but fortunately, I'm short enough that almost every time somebody was walking by with a camera, all you could see was, like, this.
yeah.
And I was like, good.
Yeah, that works that out. That works out pretty well.
Did you did more than just Co-optional Lounge panel, right?
I did a panel about podcasting, which
Oh, that's right,
was
that's
pretty
right,
cool.
that's right.
That went well, and I did the meet and greet, and that was really all there was to it. I was really happy with how the lounge went. People seemed we had a great audience for that. Thanks
The
to
lounge
everybody
was
that
great.
showed out.
Yeah, that was
It was a
super
lot of
fun.
Thanks particularly to In Control, who was apparently battling a viral infection of some sort.
I was
He went to urgent care last
oh no,
night.
he's sick.
Yeah, we had no idea. We had
Yeah.
absolutely no idea. But he went through it like a trooper. Good on him for that. Obviously, I did the H3 podcast. It wasn't even on day one because I had to get to Encino, which, as you're aware, not easy.
Yeah.
I spent most of my day in an Uber trying to get there. But you know, we did the H3 podcast, which is great. Ethan and Healer are super lovely, awesome people. I went and introduced them both to Pear Cider, which worked
great.
out very well. They were a big fan of that.
Yes,
So.
alcoholic cider is still not a big thing here.
Starting to get there, though.
It is starting to get
Everywhere
there.
I've gone has at least one. You know, not necessarily apple. It might be pear. Pear's good too. But you guys are slowly getting there. North Carolina's really getting there. We've got like 3 breweries who are making their own stuff.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, people are really getting into that. It's like 7% alcohol. I mean, it's good. It tastes better than beer.
delicious.
Stronger than beer. It's delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. So we're happy with that, and hopefully we'll get to do the lounge next year.
Yeah.
I think like audience for that show is the best, and I don't think the audience was as big as the one we had at MomoCon. Like we had about 1,500 people in the audience for that one. That was really, really cool. But you got to bear in mind, of course, there are a lot of different theaters and huge amounts of stuff going on at TwitchCon. So
Yeah.
totally understandable. I'd love to, get the brand big enough to fill up the Glitch Theater, that would be great.
That would be amazing.
But yeah, it was very entertaining, I think, for people. Like either that or they were very good at faking laughter. It was,
Either that or we were just so dumb
yeah,
that they
we were
like
pretty stupid.
laughed out of shock.
Hey, I'll say that was the first time I'd ever played Fun Employed, and
It's a good game, right?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, I
Fun
love that
Employed
game.
is excellent, and there's a couple. There was one round type that I wanted to try that I never got to try, because we didn't have the time for it, and plus it's crazy difficult. It's called Late to the Interview.
It's where you just every card is you don't see it ahead
Yeah,
of time,
you
right?
get 4 cards, you don't see it beforehand, and you just have to
We used
play it as it goes.
You know what's funny? You saying that you wouldn't have enough time for it. That was what we used to play on Friend Zone when we were running out of time, because you don't get to plan at all.
Yeah,
You
you
have
don't
to
have any
just, like,
planning. You just go right into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You would, have to be pretty decent at improv to pull that off in front of an audience. That's intimidating to me. I'm not sure I could really go with that. I think you had Line of the Night with the sloth thing.
Thank you.
That was pretty excellent. Yeah, if you haven't already seen it, the VOD should hopefully be coming up on the YouTube channel relatively shortly. If not, it is in a big 5-hour stack of Twitch VOD somewhere on twitch.tv/Twitch Presents. It was a good show. I had fun with it. I think I think we might have to like rework Bucket of Doom though. I found like Bucket of Doom, it seems like it's really hard to have an appropriate answer to that.
I feel like we can figure out how to house rule it a bit better for a live
Yeah,
show.
because it's really easy just to get a hand of cards that like, this is completely contrived. Like for a comedy, it's fine, but some of it was a big stretch.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that the best card you got? I'm like, yeah. I know there's a MacGyver mode where you're supposed to put together all of the stuff. That's like super difficult, I think. Like put
Yeah,
all of the
that
stuff
sounds
into your hand
crazy.
to MacGyver your way out of the situation. You could, but I think you'd have to be a very good storyteller to pull that one off.
Yeah.
But yeah, Snake Oil's always good. I don't think that game will ever get old. Although I'll tell you this, the box for that fucking game is way too big.
For Snake Oil.
For Snake Oil, yeah. There's a travel edition of it, and I should have just bought that. I'm like, why is this box as big as it is? It's literally just a pack of cards. Why is it like this size? It's completely unnecessary.
The Bucket of Doom box is actually pretty hilarious
little
too,
bucket.
because it's like a bucket to go along with the theme.
Yeah.
But literally the cards just sit right down here, so there's like
Yeah.
all this dead space in the
huge
bucket.
amount of wasted space.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was some good stuff, though. We'll definitely...
Oh, my tilted frames are making you twitch.
Excellent.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what you're
don't-
talking about.
They look right to me.
Yeah, that seems fine.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Definitely, you know, I mean.
Maybe look at them more.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
that'll
mean,
help.
This should be fine, right?
Yeah. They're.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
They're good.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
I do that whenever I do a city builder on stream. I do that on purpose. Like a road, slightly this way. Just slightly off.
I was on live stream fails a while back, which isn't really live stream fails anymore.
It hasn't been for years.
But-
It's literally just stream drama at this point.
There's
It used to be funny.
There's a clip that I was pretty proud of somebody being like, there's a piece of paper back there that I really wish you would pick up. And I went back and I was like, where? This one? And I like picked it up and then I just put it right back down and came back to my chair. Everyone was like, no!
I believe that 95% of the people that say stuff like that don't have anything close to OCD. They're just like role playing it, like as if it's some sort of like cool thing to have. Like I feel sorry for the actual people that have it, but like come on, but just minimize the window. Just listen to what we have to say. It's
Right.
fine.
Just like
if
I
you
can't
need to
watch this
avoid that.
anymore.
That's okay. That's all right. Outside of that, though, I did get to play a couple of games at TwitchCon. I played a High Hell, which...
What is that?
So Devolver published it. It came out yesterday, I think.
Okay.
And it's sort of like this first-person shooter speedrunning kind of thing. It's all done on rooftops in really tall buildings.
Okay.
And you've got to go as fast as you can through these levels. You've got just a gun that is super accurate. It's kind of like a railgun, but the enemies are really, really accurate as well. So you've got to be super careful. Learning exactly where all the enemies are is probably the best way to do it. There's a ton of side objectives as well. So like burn all the money, and there's like 78 piles of money, or do all this stuff and do it as fast as you can. And once you've beaten the main objective, you literally just jump off the building and kind of parachute.
Right.
So you could go through it very, very quickly. But if you want to do all of the side objectives, it would take multiple runs to do it. It's not my sort of game at all. Like, I will happily admit that. But it is damn satisfying if you actually nail every single one of those shots.
Right.
And I could see people really getting into it as a precision speedrunning kind of game.
I feel like pretty much any game published by Devolver is worth a try.
They also
tend to have pretty good publishing sense.
Yeah, they also have an obsession with stuff that looks a bit weird. And it's a little bit sort of subversive, which High Hell definitely is. Its aesthetic is very weird. And there's some really strange stuff going on in that game. And then difficult.
Yeah.
Like most Devolver games are to some extent difficult. So there is even if they're not directly involved in the development, there is a common theme running through a lot of the games that they put out. It was all right. You know, I did about half an hour on stream. I beat a couple of bosses. I felt pretty good about myself. So that was okay. And we also streamed the Mortal Empires map for
Total War
2. Yeah. So for those who don't know what Mortal Empires is, if Total War 2 was somehow not big enough for you, Jesus Christ, it is... This Mortal Empires map combines the map from the first game with the map from the second game and puts all the races in. Like, you get this for free as long as you own both the first and second game, which means you have access to, like, 12 races or something and huge numbers of Legendary Lords. And they moved some of the stuff around for necessity reasons, but you just go at it across this huge map. It's massive. They had saves about 200 turns in, and we barely had like a corner of this huge map. It's crazy stuff going on. The nice thing about it is it enables you to do custom battles with all of the races. So we were able to set up, like, I really wanted a big fight where we got a bunch of dinosaurs and had them fight the wood elves. So we got the lizard men versus wood elves, and that was really, really good. And the map is just massive. And some people, I think, for that game, really, really want an unending kind of experience. Like, where they could just go on and on and on and on. And they will be able to do that. Like, their whole goal is when they release the third, because this is supposed to be a trilogy of games, they have a mega map, which is everything. I'm like, just giant Total War thing that you could probably never possibly end.
They want to basically do what Dynasty Warriors did forever ago, which is like establish lots of little things, lots of specific races, and then just combine everything together eventually.
Yeah, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. I don't think I would personally play Mortal Empires. It's too much for me. It's too big a game. It's nowhere near as focused. With Total War Warhammer 2, there is like a specific end to the campaign. When someone beats the final ritual, that's it. Game's over. I like the fact that there's a bit of a timer on things. But I also know that some people like to basically play forever, and a campaign of that size is probably going to result in that.
Right.
But holy shit, turn times will take a while, especially when you have like, oh, there's 12 different factions in this game, and then there's like 50 kingdoms of these factions that are all kind of split into different things. Like, god damn it. But if you just want to have your own little war at some part of the map, and it's like, I really want to kill some dwarves today, then, you know, just move up to the dwarf area and start a big old war with them.
Right.
And it's cool. And I think that people will enjoy it. It's not for me. It's too much. But they went really the other direction. They were making, when they were doing DLC for the previous game, they were having sort of smaller campaigns. But apparently, talking to them, they found that not a lot of people were actually playing them. So they're like, actually, these guys want a new race and a lot of new legendary lords and skills to play. They don't want a different campaign. They just want to play it on the grand map campaign. So now they were like, well, in that case, let's just make a bigger one then and let people play on that. Still a great game.
Cool.
Looking forward to seeing what they come up with for what races they add to this. I heard rumors of Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
So mummies and all sorts of cool shit. I think they're in Blood Bowl, right? I think they're like the Kemet faction or something.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah. It's all good.
I have a game that I also want to talk about, and I
Yes.
want to make sure that I say the right name.
Okay.
So keep going.
Yep. But yeah, it's kick ass. I'm like in and out on that game quite a bit. I'll play like 8 hours every like few weeks, just because once you get into that game, it's like 8 hours have passed out of nowhere. And like, oh, okay, that happened, right?
Right.
What do you want to talk about?
So a game that I played is called Survived By.
Oh yes, yeah, they had a little booth there, didn't they?
Yeah. It's an MMO actually. It didn't look like an MMO. But it's an MMO where you choose your starting class and you have a bunch of cards that are like buffs basically. So you can decide like, okay, I'm going to take all of the cards to start with that give me health boosts, or
Yeah.
I'm going to take all the cards that help with attack.
Okay.
And I assume that as you play the game, you can unlock more cards and things like that.
All right.
But in the demo, yeah, there were I think 5 different classes you could choose from, and then these cards, and you just kind of like fill out your basic character profile, right? And then you just run around. Holy shit, that was fucking loud.
I'm sorry. The damn thing. I went to the Survive By website, and they had a damn automatic.
Oh my god, is this
auto
how it
playing
feels
video.
to watch my streams?
Yeah, actually, quite often. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I think all of that is muted now, so that should never happen again.
Great.
But god damn, I didn't know it had an auto playing video.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, so it's
Well, that's a few eardrums busted. Yeah.
it's a game that I don't think that it would be considered 8-bit, maybe 16-bit. But you walk around just like shooting stuff, right, and getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's called Survived By because the concept of it is very much based on like you live as long as you can, and when you die, you get to take some of your stat bonuses with you.
This
into
reminds
your
me
new
of
character.
remember Realm of the Mad God? It reminds me of that, but like more advanced,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
So again, because it's an MMO, you can put together like a huge group that all goes and does like dungeoning together or just like whatever you want to do.
Oh, it's made by Digital Extremes, the Warframe guys.
It is.
And Human Head apparently involved in it as well. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I guess this is in alpha right now. You
It
can
is
actually
in
play
alpha.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. They had it as like a super strict closed alpha for a while because they wanted to make sure that their servers could like keep up. They wanted to stress test rather slowly. If you went to TwitchCon and you played the game, they gave you like a little flyer that had an alpha code to let
Nice.
you in because they're feeling pretty confident that they can have a bunch of people on now.
And to be
So-
fair, they're gonna have to do that test at some point.
Yeah,
like, It was the same
exactly.
with Realm of the Mad God. Like they had to do a test where it's like, if a streamer starts playing this and suddenly 1,000 people jump in, can we survive?
Yeah. But apparently the team that's working on this game, they've had it in development for like a year, I think they said, but there's only 9 or 10 people making it.
Yeah.
So it's very much like they're passion project.
That seems good.
Yeah, I'm excited to like, since I have an alpha code, I'm excited to actually like sit and try playing it like legitimately and see how it feels.
Absolutely. That looks like good stuff. Well, we're going to go to a break, but before that, of course, this show is naturally proudly sponsored by Squarespace.
It sure is.
It absolutely is, as you can see right here. And
wow!
yeah, I decided
such production.
Today, we're just going to show you a site that was made on Squarespace. The Axiom Mod website, as you can see right here, was all made on Squarespace. And you can see the like cool features that it's got. For instance, you got this little scroll thing right here. And the template that we used allows you to scroll down and see each individual segment. But you can also click there. And we embedded this cool HTML5 video in the background. So like you can see examples of what we're talking about on each page in the sort of background, kind of faded behind these screenshots. So that was a really cool way of showing off various functions within our game. They're all like really easy to put in. Like, this looks pretty complicated to make, right? It's really not. It was actually kind of awesome because there's a plugin on Squarespace that can just pull directly from YouTube to create these background HTML5 video loops. So everything's hosted there. It can just pull directly from there. And to me, it looks absolutely awesome. Like, this looks exactly the same on a mobile device as it looks on a PC browser. Works on pretty much everything. And it was really, really easy to make. And very easy to update as well. And we were able to add like a little patch notes thing and updating this. Hell, even I can do that, as you can see, because I typed all of that myself. So we were really happy with what Squarespace was able to do with that. And more to the point, when we last mentioned this website on the podcast, it didn't crash, which is amazing. And as you can see right now, it's not crashing either, as everybody goes to axiommod.com. It's not breaking. It works totally fine. So if you want to set up a website like that, you can do so at squarespace.com/cooptional for your free trial and 10% off your first order. And all of this really cool looking stuff, you could do this without any knowledge whatsoever, which is lovely because I am an idiot. And it took myself and Chris less than a day to put together this awesome looking website for our mod. And we were really happy with the results. So check out squarespace.com/cooptional for your free trial and 10% off your first order. You could do a trial which allows you to test all of the different templates they've got. Try and find one that's appropriate for you. In this case, I think that this template's actually from a restaurant. Oh. It was designed for a restaurant with their menu and be like showing off all of their dishes on each page.
Sure, yeah.
We used that for a StarCraft 2 mod, and that seemed to work pretty well there as well.
I mean, StarCraft is a feast for the eyes after all.
Indeed, yes, indeed. Food for thought.
Yes.
Indeed, quite. So, thank you for Squarespace sponsoring this particular podcast, as always. They have been a loyal sponsor of us. We hope that they will continue to be so. We hope that we don't mess that up too much. Go check them out if you want to make a website for pretty much anything, including whatever StarCraft 2 mod you happen to be making. We'll be right back after the break, folks. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking a little more about some games we've been playing. We're going to talk about some board games that I got a chance to play over the last couple of nights with a bunch of people. One of the best things about a convention, being able to play board games, get a chance to hang out with people.
In for reals meet space with people.
Indeed. Yeah. And there's a little bit of news as well, and we'll cover the release as well. Doing about a 2-hour show today. You're watching the Co-optional podcast live from Duga Towers.
Aha! Finally!
It's
my time!
Indeed. We'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional podcast. As it is, I think this is the first time we've ever just done a 2-person podcast.
I think it is. Yeah. I was trying to remember if we or you have done this before for Co-optional.
We've done 5, but never 2. Yeah. And as you're probably aware, if you're not, well, Jesse's off in the land down under.
Australia.
Yep. I don't think it sounds like that.
PAX Australia. That's how they talk there.
No.
It is.
No.
I'm positive.
No.
I have a lot of Australian viewers.
Yeah.
So.
You'll have less after that. But we'd like to talk a little bit about the TwitchCon keynote, as they announced a few new features for Twitch. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then we'll talk about some board games, maybe a little bit more news, do some releases, and then get the hell out of here. So, there were a few different things announced, some of which were cool, some of which were a little strange, let's just say. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, one thing that they assured everybody before TwitchCon even started was that they weren't going to enact anything major while TwitchCon was going on.
Yeah,
because last year, Twitch Prime subs went live while everybody was still at TwitchCon.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got boned out of that first
Well,
month.
yeah, like people would be super screwed about that.
Yeah.
Because
So it became a situation where some people who were at TwitchCon were like, "Fuck, I should have stayed."
yeah, I shouldn't have gone to TwitchCon in the first place.
Yeah, which is not what they want.
No,
to make
not
people
really.
feel like they shouldn't go to the convention. So
not that they announced anything near as big this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like a lot of the stuff is very much still in development. First thing is, starting in November, you'll have a stream summary right on your dashboard. That means, like, right after the stream, you get, like, a set of stats. Like, what was your average viewership? Where did the traffic sources come from? All that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, sure. Nice. Nothing to really complain about there. Nice to get that little bit of info afterwards.
You can kind of find that now, but it's really basic, and it's honestly kind of hard to get to it.
Yeah. So my hope is they have a summary which is just generally useful. I somehow managed to delete the little thing with the text.
I'm so proud of you.
I don't know how I pulled that off.
Isn't it right there? Isn't that it?
Yeah, but it's gone from XSplit now. It was right here.
What?
And then it just disappeared.
That's really strange.
I don't know why that happened. I could probably fix that. Let's try fixing it.
Take your time.
Let's try fixing
We're not
it
live.
in a completely different way. Let's like, I'm sure it'll be fine. Who would possibly
fine.
notice something like that?
Yeah, so new stats, or just better stats, hopefully more readily available to you.
Yep.
And then
Premieres.
I don't know anything about premieres.
So I have, this may sound like egotistical as hell, but I am very sure that they nicked this directly from me.
Oh, okay.
The reason I believe this is because it is exactly what we did for like 2 years running for the Arbitrary Awards. And I talked to them about this during at a meeting that I had with their marketing and product staff at some point. I'm pretty sure they took this idea from me.
Gotcha.
And the idea is like that you're creating VOD style content, but you want to like do a premiere viewing with a live audience, like they can kind of interact in chat. So the point of premieres is that you can put the upload up, set it as a premiere, schedule it, hype it up, and then do viewer interaction while playing a pre-recorded kind of VOD. And this time around, instead of having to stream it directly from your machine, which is what I had to do with Arbitrary Awards, you can have it uploaded to Twitch, so it's already there. You know, if your connection goes to hell, it won't matter. It'll just play. It's kind of like doing a vodcast, really.
Honestly, like
it's very similar to that.
As a person who spent so much time on YouTube, that's actually now that you explain it that way, that's kind of intriguing to me, because part of me is like, that might be super cool. Like, say that there's a new Welcome to the Fandom or something that I've made. I could do like a premiere of it on Twitch, and everybody could watch it together and like talk about it.
Which
that's
is
kind of cute. I kind of like that.
It's fine. No, it feels like, well, what's the point? Well, the Arbitrary Awards did super fucking well doing that for like the last 2 years. It's something that people like to watch things with other people.
Yeah.
You know, great example of that, you know, I love watching wrestling. It's a hell of a lot more fun to watch with other people, especially people who kind of know the whole thing is crazy bullshit, etc. Because it's fun to mock. You know, it's fun to like be around and be a part of that discussion.
Totally. I mean, like right now on Twitch Presents,
they've got Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
They've got Yu-Gi-Oh going. Like every episode of original Yu-Gi-Oh is playing on Twitch Presents right now. And at least yesterday, I haven't tuned in today, but they were showing so many fucking ads that it was ridiculous.
It was like every 2 minutes or something, completely interrupting everything.
Way more ad time than there was actual show time.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, people kept being like, I don't understand why you don't just watch this on another platform. Like, you can find Yu-Gi-Oh in lots of different places, but then you don't have chat.
Yes,
and chat is like a huge part of what makes rewatching dubbed Yu-Gi-Oh funny, right?
Yeah, it's the same with the Bob Ross thing, you know, and same with Power Rangers. We've seen it time and time again. There's obviously a reason for this. It's like, you're watching the podcast with us right now. Is there any real benefit to watching it live? Not really. You know, this could be up on YouTube every week, and that could be the only place it is. But we like doing it live because people like getting together, reacting to what's happening, listening with a group of other people, because it's a fun little social experience.
Totally.
So this is basically shared viewing. it's just a official system of doing what you could probably already do. You know, you could certainly stream but that would be more reliable. You know, I'd be much happier to upload arbitrary awards to the Premiere system this year,
and then just
know that it works,
go.
hit that play button, you know, and make sure it works that way.
That'll be interesting to mess with.
I can see it being useful.
The next thing that they talked about was raids. Raids are different from hosts in that when you host somebody, the host happens still on your own channel. So everybody is still like in your chat watching the host. Sometimes there's a little bit of confusion, like people try to talk to the hosted streamer, but the hosted streamer can't see you because you're still on like my channel if I've hosted somebody. Raids are supposed to be different in that when you raid someone, a pop-up is supposed to show up for every viewer that says, would you like to go to this person's channel? Yeah, exactly. Would you like to join the raid? Would you like to go to their channel? Yeah. And, you know,
the people that want to watch, they can do that, and the people that obviously don't, that's cool. So, you know, it dubs everybody in at once, but it dubs the people in who have already agreed to be a part of it. Yes. Which is good, because if you do dump a stream on your /host, especially if you have a large audience, and they don't really know what you're doing, or they don't know who the streamer is, there could be confusion, there could be hostility, there could be all sorts of bullshit that goes down there. So I mean, I don't like the name of it. I know why they call it that, because, you know,
it's part of the vernacular on Twitch already.
Yeah, but it does have that sort of connotation that you're about to bombard someone who was unexpecting with a bunch of people they're maybe not prepared for.
Right.
But I think this will help because, as you said, it's opt-in.
Yeah.
So you're going to have less people, and the people who are going there and kind of knowing what they're getting into. So there's going to be less bullshit, hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully that is not misused. And if it is, obviously Twitch needs to come down to the people that are doing it. It's like, hey, I'm going to host a raid. Go harass this person, blah, blah, blah. You know, obviously that's unacceptable. That's always been unacceptable. It's against Twitch rules. So hopefully they properly enforce that. So the next feature is something that already exists, but is now going to be a bit easier. Some people don't even realize this exists, which is rooms. You can create separate spaces within your chat. And the thing is, people can create rooms already.
Right. Has the streamer always been able to create permanent rooms?
I don't know. The chat system's a bit confusing in that respect. Like, here's so I'm showing you this now. Like, here's the group chats and things. Like, I could create a chat room, but as to whether or not people would actually see it,
like, be able to just join it if they want.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So
because I would really love, as a person who fucking times out anybody who tries to like spoil shit or backseat me on most games, it would be really, really nice to have just the normal chat and then have a completely separate room that people can go into to be like, why the fuck hasn't she noticed the key that's right there, right? Like, without
people
me
are super
seeing
frustrated.
it. I think that would be super beneficial for my chat.
It would be useful, yeah. You know, it's good for, say, people who can't afford a sub as well. You know, they can go to a separate room that isn't the main front-facing subscriber chat.
Oh, sure, yeah. So, if you have sub-only chat, maybe you can have a room that isn't.
Yeah, I mean, you've always been able to do that, but this seems like it's a more official, more front-facing way to do it, which makes more sense that people actually even know exists.
I'm wondering how that's going to affect mods, though. Because mods will then suddenly have two chats to watch, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
You know, you may have to end up splitting your mod team to monitor some stuff. You know, I mean, at the moment, I don't know what happens with rooms, like in terms of moderation. I think it's the person that creates the room gets the mod access.
I assume, yeah.
But in this case, it's going to be more of an official thing. So I don't know. We'll see how that works. I think it's a pretty solid idea if it's properly implemented. This is the problem with a lot of these things. They demonstrated it, and it was obviously very still proof of concept. They hadn't necessarily got the implementation down.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is weird. Like, it's a bit creepy to me. Rituals, yes. So this is where you're able to sacrifice a newborn in order to get more subscribers. No, that's not actually how it works.
It's exactly like
that. So, according to this, it makes it easier for you to celebrate special moments that bring your community together. I'm already sort of rolling my eyes at that. But say a viewer's checking out the channel for the first time. After a minute, they'll have the choice to signal to the rest of the community that they're new to the channel, and Twitch will break the ice for that person in chat.
This is a thing that has done. He has had like a bot set up to do this for a really long time.
Yeah, I have a feeling they took this straight from him.
I think that they took that straight from Ko. Whether or not Ko knew about it, I don't think so, based on the clip from Dropped Frames that I saw.
No.
But
Doesn't surprise me.
yeah, the idea of it, I think, is to like make it so that there are more ways for your chat to interact with one another. And like welcome one another, be excited for one another, and just like build community stuff. So like I get it, but I think rituals is a weird term.
That's very culty, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely a bit weird. I'm not going to use that like at all. That's definitely not going to happen. But I could definitely see some particular users would probably find it useful.
Right.
Rituals though, that's creepy. Now the next one is very useful. It's an achievement system, and usually I'd be like, achievements. The point is that this is supposed to give you clear goals to what you need to do to reach either affiliate or partner status.
I think this is gonna really help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because up until now, it seemed very up in the air, like kind of arbitrary. So to have really clear, like, you need to do this, you need to, start having this many concurrent viewers, or, whatever else. I have no idea what's on these achievement lists, but just having something there to help you understand what you need to do, I think is going to help people so much.
Yeah, and during the keynote, Ethan Evans said, look, if you follow the path achievements laid before you, we absolutely guarantee we'll invite you to the affiliate or partner program.
Yeah.
So this is a very clear path. If you want to start doing this as a part-time or full-time thing, you follow these steps.
Yep.
And you make sure that you go down them. So it'll be interesting to see like what that roadmap is really going to end up being and the requirements, but it's good to have that roadmap.
Totally.
They made it better with the affiliate system when they first brought it out. Before that, becoming a partner on Twitch was... no one knew how you got there. It was just a case of, email Twitch or know somebody at Twitch and hope they notice you or whatever. In this case, this is a much better, more formalized system. I'm pretty happy with that. The last thing...
I'm so excited!
It's cool. We'll get more money. That's great. Subscription gifting. So,
I'm excited to gift subscriptions.
Of course, yeah. I'm excited for other viewers to buy subscriptions for others and me to make more money off it. So, it's two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I like the coin. I actually like lots of coins, if you don't mind. You'll be able to gift a 1-month subscription to anyone on Twitch of 3 different tiers, and gift givers will receive social recognition in chat. Yeah, and to third parties.
I hope that a lot of this stuff you can decide whether or not you want it.
Yeah, there's potential for that to be like someone obviously being a bit of an attention seeker, like, hey, it's like making it rain in the club, whatever.
Sure.
But that already kind of exists to some extent with bits. But you can limit how obnoxious that can be, just keep it stuck to chat, and when you have it on screen, that's because you chose to put it there. Right. It'll be the same with this as well, I imagine. So it's a good system in general. It's beneficial to partners because obviously another way of getting subscriptions is always good. So it might be I can't afford the sub this month, or my credit card's not working, or I don't have a credit card. Maybe it's a younger viewer, but they still want to get access to subscriptions. That's the kind of thing that someone could offer them. And like you said, you can do giveaways.
This is something I've wanted for a really long time, to be able to do giveaways of subscriptions to my channel.
Yep.
I think that's going to be super awesome.
Yeah, it seems like it could be pretty useful. So, like, no major announcements. Like,
everything
Prime
was pretty chill.
Yeah, Prime was a big deal last year. All of these seem pretty good. Like, there's always the potential issues with stuff like raids. They're going to have to keep an eye on them. But a good point that was brought up is that by formalizing the system and by making sure, like, it's a kind of click-in system, you can actually track very directly what happened. And if somebody abuses it, it'll be really easy to show that happened.
For sure.
So that I think is a good thing in general.
I do appreciate that. So far, it seems like each year, the stuff that they put in is either let's make streamers more money,
Always
which
good. Never
we
gonna complain about that.
appreciate, or it's let's help with community building. Of course, again, these things can be abused, but like if you're using them correctly, I think that they will be really cool things that you can implement to help the community be tighter knit and stronger.
Yeah, works.
So
sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah, so overall that was pretty good. So did get to play a couple of board games.
yeah,
And
with,
one that's kind of a board game, but not a board game.
you got to meet up with some buds.
Indeed, yeah, hanging out with Maggie and her moderation crew.
Nice.
In their wonderful Airbnb that claimed to have aircon and very clearly did not have aircon. So we had a lot of fans, let me put it that way, and not the TwitchCon fans. Fans, standing fans, desk fans, everything we could get.
Yeah, our house was a fucking nightmare yesterday. So, you know.
I'm glad for working AC back in North Carolina, I'll tell you that for a fact. Now, so this could very easily be a board game, but it's actually using a phone. So I mentioned this on a show before, but I'd never got a chance to fully
This
play
sounds
it.
familiar, yeah.
Triple Agent, right? So it's a phone game. It costs like $2, and you play it on one device. It supports up to 9 people. So what you end up doing on this game, and I can load it up and sort of demonstrate it to all of you here.
Oh my gosh, I know your code.
For the wonders of modern technology, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves here. You know, this is Triple Agent. And you actually
Hey.
have to put your thumb. I thought it was pretty neat. You had to it's like a little thumb
Cute.
scan thing for that. So there's like the names of all of the people, like their usernames who were playing, all 9 of us last night. It actually saves them between rounds, which is super useful.
How many
with a large
people
group.
can you have?
Goes up to
total?
9.
Okay.
So it's between 5 to 9 players. So it's a social deduction game. Now, kind of like Secret Hitler, Werewolf, etc., etc. But there are 2 agencies. There is the Service, good guys,
Okay.
and there are Virus, bad guys.
Okay.
So the goal for the Service is to imprison someone from Virus. The goal for Virus is to confuse the Service into imprisoning one of their own.
Sure.
But this is where things get weird because, and I'll go through it so to demonstrate how it works. So you get a mission briefing. It's like, all right, in a 9-player mode, and so you probably can't see that, but there's got to be 3 virus agents at the start of the game. This is what really fucks it up because that might
Right.
not be the case by the end of it. So
Ah.
firstly, it goes around through every person and it gives them a loyalty. So, you know, this would be for Simple's loyalty, and apparently Simple works for Virus. And it also tells you who the other 2 virus agents are at the moment. Frank and Hart, apparently, are the other 2 ones. And he keeps sort of going through this. And once everyone has their loyalty, it goes to what's called the operations phase. And everybody gets a weird thing that happens to them. Like,
Okay.
they might say, your source called you and told you the identity of one of the agents. So it's kind of like for your eyes only. You pass the phone over to them, they look at it, and then it goes on to the next bit. Now, when a hidden agenda comes up, hidden agenda could be one of a few things, including switch sides. So you might start off with 3 virus agents. You might end up with 5 by the end of it, or maybe 2 or nothing. But the cool thing is sometimes they also give you a hidden objective.
Right.
So, for instance, one of those is try to get yourself imprisoned. Like it's called Scapegoat. So, because you get those throughout the game, your behavior can suddenly
Sort
change.
of Dead of Winter style.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their
Yeah.
own specific goal
Yeah.
alongside of the major goal
Yeah,
of the group.
but you don't start with it.
Right.
Like, you start with the major goal, but you might switch sides. You might have a goal that's like, you want to get this person imprisoned, or you want to save this person, or whatever. And because of that, that's the cool social deduction part, because you're keeping an eye out for people's behavior. Like, if someone's given a hidden agenda, you know they've been given one, but you don't know what was in it. Was it a loyalty change? Was it an objective change? Was it simply a piece of information?
Sure.
And you're keeping an eye out for, is this guy suddenly acting a bit strange? Like, a little bit weird. And the whole thing is just a 1-phase game. So everybody gets one operation, and then it's the accusation phase. You get 2 minutes to discuss.
So it's pretty short.
Yeah, the whole thing can be done in 10 minutes, even with 9 players. So that's pretty cool. And then after that, you all vote, and it comes up with the results, and then it shows who everybody was, who had the secret objectives and everything like that. And it's cool, because you only have to own it on one phone. It's like $2 or $3 just to own it. And it's one of the better social deduction games that I've played.
That's awesome.
The phone tracking, everything is really good. It speeds everything up. You have no need for an individual moderator, like, say, with Werewolf. You know, you don't need a storyteller. You don't need the whole close your eyes, open your eyes stuff that happens with
Sure.
Werewolf a lot. And all of these changing objectives and crazy stuff that really keeps the game dynamic and interesting every time. So once we played a game and kind of understood the things that would happen, we started to get really, really into it. We played about 10 rounds of it, and it was fantastic. I would strongly, strongly recommend it. You know, like I said, scales, so you can do it at a family gathering anywhere between 5 to 9 players.
Right.
Just on one phone. give it to the guy that has the case on the phone, just in case somebody decides to drop it, or throw it.
Decides to drop, in case somebody's like, fuck you, TB.
Yeah, I mean, it's a social deduction game. Some people get pretty mad at those kind of things, I have to admit.
That's fair, that's true.
I would highly recommend it. It's a great use of the phone, great use of technology to enhance an already existing kind of game. So I was big into that, big fan of that. Hey, we could play that later. We've got some people in the office. Let's do it. Should be
really
good.
Fun. Yeah.
We also did a bit more Captain Sonar. Always great.
Did you have a full crew this time?
We did. Yeah, we had. You need 8 people for a full crew. I was sort of
perfect.
acting as a guy doing the tutorial just to make sure everybody understood what was going on. They got teaching that game. It's initially quite intimidating, but they get into it really fast, I find. Like, everybody I've played this game with who I've taught it to, it's bewildering initially, but then once this starts, it's like, right, you're in real time, go. And they start communicating and they start figuring things out. And by the end of it, everyone's a cool team, like, communicating with each other and trying not to screw things up. And there's arguments that happen. It's like, no, Captain, we can't go that way because this is going to happen. It's like, I need the torpedoes. It's like, I'm giving it all she's got, Captain.
Right.
And it is very, very entertaining. And as a real-time game, the tension is so high, and it reminds me of playing FTL, but every individual crew person is their own person.
Right.
And they all have to do their individual jobs well and communicate with each other, otherwise everything goes to hell.
Totally.
So I want to play more of that. I'd like to play way more Captain Sonar. I also got the expansion, which has super weapons in it, and you could change equipment out for different things, so I'm intrigued to see what's going on with that. And it's just such a unique game. Again, the only problem is you need 8 people.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do it with 6, but 8 is generally the way that you need to do it. So
Gotcha.
it's still very, very cool. And people are asking, is it better for each sub to be in a separate room? No, you have to. The whole point is you have a radio operator that's listening to the other captain's orders. So that's how he figures out where the other sub is. You
Otherwise
have
that
to be
person has
together.
nothing to
Yeah,
do.
there's a big screen that goes down the center that's in the box, just like a big DM screen. So you're sitting basically opposite the person with the same role on the other side. So the radio operator has this big piece of acetate over the grid map, and he's drawing the course that he's hearing the enemy captain using, and then trying to move it around to figure out, well, you can't have gone this way because that would be through an island. And it's kind of like Snake. You can't go through your own tail.
Sure.
And you can only get rid of the tail when you surface. And, of course, when you surface, you reveal where you are. So, that's pretty unpleasant. But I've never played a game like that. Like, it always, at the end of it, it's almost like a team-building exercise. It
Totally.
feels so good when everything is working together as like a well-oiled machine. And the panic, the crazy shit where everything's going wrong. Now, I love the fact that when you have to surface, there's a mini game to repair the sub where you all have to draw around this line. You have to secure 4 parts of the ship. So you get your marker pen, you draw around, don't go outside the lines, otherwise you have to start again. Initial it, hand it to the next person. Once you secure the ship, you get the other guy's engineer to check it. If you've got outside the lines, you have to start all over again. Bear in mind, the other guy's sub is getting to move while you're doing this. So they're trying to get a beat on you for a torpedo. It's like, fuck! Don't fuck this up. Don't fuck it up.
Right.
It generates so much tension. It's phenomenal. I love it. I love it. Really, really great game. So we played that. And we played a bit of Werewolf as well, which I have to admit maybe it's because it's an older social deduction game.
I was gonna say, because now
don't
there's games
like it as much.
Secret Hitler, and there's games
like Triple Agent.
Triple
No,
Agent.
These are games that have tried to make the social deduction genre a bit better. I remember playing the Resistance. Like, Resistance Avalon is a bit better, but the original Resistance is like so simple and too simplistic.
What's the version of Werewolf that has like a shit ton more roles?
Probably One Night Ultimate Werewolf.
I think that's it. Yeah, or there's just like a fuck ton of different things you can potentially be.
There was some interesting stuff in this. I think this was Ultimate Werewolf we're playing, but not One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And there were a lot of roles. Like, there was a Cupid who tied 2 people together, so if one of those people died, the other person also died. And there was a bunch of stuff like that. And I had problems in that game doing the deduction part. Because things like Secret Hitler have an order of things to do, and you have to make these decisions that could potentially reveal who you are.
Right.
And it's also, I like the fact that player elimination is only at the end. Because there's nothing worse than, like the first night, you got randomly killed, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, okay, guys, I guess I'm reading Twitter for the next 10 minutes while you play the rest of this game. Whereas with something like Secret Hitler, the shooting only happens in the last 5 minutes.
Sure.
And the way that the passing liberal or passing fascist policies works, that's something that immediately throws suspicion on somebody. Whereas in Werewolf, what I found in the way that we were all playing it, there was nothing that threw suspicion on anybody.
Right.
Like, a lot of it was guesswork. Like, really, it seems like the best thing you could do in that game is just be quiet. We did play with the Tanner role, which made things a little bit interesting. The Tanner wants to die. So if the Tanner dies,
I've been the Tanner before.
everybody loses.
Almost every time that I've been the Tanner, I've been killed. And then everybody's like, God damn it. Like,
yeah, we killed the Tanner twice just out of nowhere. Like, it's like, well, that's an instant failure condition.
It's great. It's great being the Tanner because you have to figure out, how do I make myself seem suspicious, but not so suspicious that people think I'm the Tanner?
Yeah, I tried
really
doing that
fun.
in Triple Agent, where it was like you got to get imprisoned. That's basically the Tanner-like role.
Yeah.
But they figured me out pretty quick. Like, but I did in the second game, so a lot of confusion by continually. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, I've been service the entire time, or I've been virus the entire time. I just try to confuse the hell out of people. That's a pretty fun role, but yeah, I don't think I play Werewolf again. Like, I think that Werewolf has sort of become obsolete. I don't know if the later versions like One Night Ultimate are better, and I know there's stuff like One Night Ultimate Alien as well, which is a bit different, but I would rather play Secret Hitler, I would rather play Triple Agent. I think they're just better designed games in general.
I like that people are continuing to try to
evolve the genre.
Evolve it, yeah. In the same way that, and this isn't a board game type, but we've talked about it a lot, in the same way that I hope people continue to think about how to make Battle Royale better.
Yeah, sure.
Because, like you've said a million times, like, so many people want to play that type of game.
There's a huge space for it.
That people should be thinking, like, how do I make a better version of this?
Yeah, you know, and it's that genre is big enough that it can support multiple games in the same way that MOBA can support multiple games. You know, there's Dota, League of Legends, and Smite. You know, probably. I think LoL's bigger than Dota. Dota's still huge. Dota's bigger than Smite, but Smite still has a really big audience, a good audience. And then of course there are some smaller games like Awesome Noughts that still have an audience, and a few other little MOBAs that are kind of just doing okay. There's space for more than one variant, and it's really bad for a genre if there's only one game really in it.
Totally.
Not a fan of that. You know, I'm glad we like tactical shooters as well. We have CS:GO and Rainbow Six doing really well as well. Those are two very different flavors of the team-based, more tactical shooter. So, yeah, you're right. And, like, seeing H1Z1 evolving and being a lot better and looking much better, like, I want to try that game again now.
Yeah.
Because it was jank as fuck back in the day.
I have a friend who's, I'm not going to name names or anything, but I have a friend who's part of a development company that's working on a Battle Royale game right now. And there are so many of them coming out. Or so many that people are like starting to, like H1Z1 trying to make them even better. That every time that happens, they all sit down as a team and just play them. Play them a ton so that they can say, what's good about this? Should we incorporate that into our game? And I think that that's going to be important too, is like realizing what sort of changes are going on with the genre while developing so that you don't fall behind and make something that isn't really what people want anymore.
Yeah, because, you know, this genre is going to be evolving pretty quickly, so it's entirely possible that we might end up where a game comes out and it's basically outdated by that point. You know, you've got to provide either as good or different experience to what's already here, and that's evolving pretty fast. You know, PUBG's patching every month, Fortnite is patching seemingly every week, H1Z1's patching as well, so you've got to come out with something. It's like, where does it go? I mean, theme, there's still plenty of room for a different theme, like post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, all that kind of stuff. There's still good room, I think, for going first person, because really we only have one first person battle royale game right now. You know, Fortnite and H1Z1, unless they've added first person H1Z1 recently, which I don't think they have, only PUBG has that. I would prefer to play first person over third person. I'm still enjoying Fortnite, but I would like to see another first person game.
Sure.
And you know, you could go full-on medieval. You could do some melee stuff. There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
So I would like to see what's going on with that. I still think Necromunda, like the old 40k gang warfare one, would be amazing for that as a potential kind of thing. An underground, like, just horrible dystopia. There's a lot of potential with that.
For sure.
Yeah. So cool stuff. And the vehicle-based stuff is kind of being done already with, like, GTA has that new vehicle battle royale mode. There's probably some room there to do things with that. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. It'll be cool one way or the other. You know, I welcome more battle royale games. I welcome them. See if we can find some better ones. Outside of that, I only played like 30 minutes of Destiny 2 this morning.
I hear it looks really nice on PC.
Oh, it does. It runs well too, even on my laptop. I was happy with it. I want to play more of it later. So, I mean, so far so good. I've obviously only just played part of the tutorial. The shooting felt good though.
Good.
The weapons sound really, really nice. I don't know. They put like mouse acceleration on by default. I had to turn that off in the options. They said something about auto aim. I don't know if that applies to the mouse though.
Yeah.
Like, if they're going to give auto aim to people that use controllers, I don't really mind. That's fine. You can still be quicker with a keyboard and mouse regardless. I don't know if they have some form of auto aim also on the mouse. I'm not so keen on that, but I didn't feel it. If it's there, I didn't really notice it all that much.
Sure.
So I guess it's fine. And
yeah,
it feels pretty clean to me.
I know that the people that I'm friends with who have played Destiny 2 since it came out on PlayStation have said that they've, for the most part, run out of things to do.
They've run out of things to do, yeah.
I think the reason, this seems like the most obvious reason for that, is that it would make no sense for them to start adding a bunch of stuff in for PlayStation users when PC users haven't even had a chance to touch it. Right, so I feel like
I
they're
think they're still going to be ahead of us, though, in development.
For sure, but I think that overall they want PC users to have a chance to actually get into the game before some big, like, new content starts dropping.
I think it's also important to note that a lot of these guys that have sort of hit the wall of things to do in Destiny 2 probably also played a bunch of Destiny 1. So they're viewing it almost as a continuation of that. So, like, a PC user who hasn't played Destiny at all may get a lot more out of Destiny 2 than they would for these guys who played 2 years of Destiny 1 before this came out and then ran out of stuff really quickly. Maybe, you know, we might. But ultimately, I actually don't really mind. Like, if I do the story and the story's cool, and then I get to do a bit of PvP, some raids, and all that kind of stuff. Okay, if I run out of content, I'll just go play something else. Like, it's like, oh no, I played 100 hours and now I'm bored. Okay, go play a different video game then. I'm fine with that. I don't want to be 1,000. I don't have to dedicate 1,000 hours to a game. Like, I want to get a really cool experience, and then I'll leave it and go somewhere else, and maybe come back when there's a major update.
Right.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. No problem with that at all. So I'm relatively excited to play it after playing a bit of the tutorial and just how good the shooting felt and how well it runs, even on a fairly, pretty old laptop. It runs smooth as fuck and it looks great, and the sound is so good. We'll give credit to Bungie. I've barely played any of their games because they've been so console focused, but holy hell do they know how to make a gun sound good.
Yeah.
So I am really interested to see what goes on with that. I think I picked the tank-like class. Can't remember what they're called. But I know my special ability is like I kind of turn into a lightning bolt and sort of bounce around different things. I found that pretty fun. We'll see how it goes with it. I didn't know which class to pick, so I'm like, well, it looks like this guy has a Gatling gun of some sort at some point. Apparently it's called Titan or whatever. I like big Gatling guns. I like big guns, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny. So I decided to pick it. And we'll see how that one goes. Cool. So that was fun. I think if I play anything else, I think other than Warframe, which we already talked about, that was kind of about it.
I've just been playing more Fractured But Whole.
Yeah, you seem like you're having a good amount of fun with that.
That game has continued to be really fun. Good. Yeah, I think it's really smart in the way it does the humor. And I like that the longer that I play, the more strategic I have to be in fights.
That's good.
I think that's such a huge difference from the last game. You actually
it got
you
really
have to think about
easy,
positioning and stuff, which is really fun.
Yeah, I'm happy about that because I like the whole idea of like a light tactics kind of setup. The first one, the little mini games and button bashing was fun enough, but like the game got really easy by the end of it in terms of combat.
Yeah.
It was really easy to get colossally overpowered, and that just wasted a bunch of time. What I do want to play RPG-wise, which I haven't yet, which is apparently a giant Euro jank fest, but looks neat anyways, Elix. Game we talked a little bit about on the releases last week.
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
combination of like fantasy and sci-fi in one world by the guys that made Risen and Gothic.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing from a lot of people, particularly Co.
AE, right?
Co-
AELAX.
ELEX.
Oh.
Co was saying, yeah, it's jank as fuck in many ways, but it's really unique and awesome regardless.
Cool.
And you know what? I'm actually up for a good 6 out of 10 game.
Yeah.
You know? Something that's like not too hyper polished, but it's got some really cool, interesting ideas.
Just a bad good game.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to give that a try. There's a lot coming out this week. You know, we've got Wolfenstein at the end of the week and Assassin's Creed, which I'm surprisingly interested in. Like, it seems like they've really taken the formula and said we're going to do a good refresh on it. Good, you know? Although I did watch a video of the naval combat, and that still looks the same. But you know what? The naval combat was pretty fun anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's more about ramming people and also throwing firebombs at them, because obviously it's Egypt, you didn't have cannons, you know?
Sure.
So that seems okay. But I'm just glad that it's not the same goddamn game again. So sick of it. So sick of it. There was just too much Assassin's Creed, and it was all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Mario Odyssey on its way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure when is that Friday? A bunch of stuff going on Friday for this week for some reason.
Yeah.
But strange. But yeah, I think that's about it in terms of games we've been playing this week. So we can do a little bit of news. There's not a huge amount going on. I think one of the most dramatic things that's been happening this week is NeoGAF is possibly dead in the water.
Yeah.
So the site went down a few days ago with pretty much no explanation, following accusations again against the owner of the site. This is hardly the first time this has happened as well, of sexual misconduct.
Right.
Yeah, the guy put out a statement, his name's Evilor, like yesterday, apparently refusing to give up the reins of the site, which is a very, very stupid thing to do. Bear in mind, by the way, at one point, he was offered $10 million to sell NeoGAF. He turned it down. Big mistake, mate, by the sounds of it.
Big fucking mistake, apparently.
Let me put it this way.
It's
very hard to believe the guy because this is not the first accusation.
I was just about to say, like, big mistake, but also, like, I fucking hope you go to jail. But also, big mistake, not selling.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have a lot of sympathy for him, let me put it that way, to say the least. The guy looks like he's getting everything that's coming to him. I think it's ludicrously stupid to try and keep the thing going because everyone of worth now doesn't want to be anywhere near that dumpster fire. Of course they don't, because, you know, I mean, I am unhappy that it's been known for years. Like, these allegations and stuff. In fact, there weren't even allegations. He literally bragged about posting revenge porn of somebody at one point.
Yeah.
And apparently, GAF was still entirely okay with having this guy run the site. And the moderators were okay with backing him up. I guess with the Weinstein thing, recently, there's been a lot more awareness brought up for this kind of behavior, and good. Should have happened way, way earlier. But
it's incredible to me how much people are willing to sweep under the rug to, like, protect their current business situation.
Yeah, and in particular with GAF, there was a lot of nasty groupthink going on in there. You know, it's a site where it's basically an invite-only site, and a lot of people were banned for basically dissenting opinions. Like, there was a disgusting situation a while ago where really awesome looking indie game with the amazing graphic style, The Last Night, and there's a bit of like interesting political stuff going on in that game where supposedly it's based in a sort of future dystopia where very leftist ideas have been taken to the extreme and things have kind of gone a bit wrong as a result, which I thought was kind of interesting because not a lot of fiction really tries that.
Right.
So I thought that's an interesting premise. And they got that guy, the developer of that game, got absolutely shit on by NeoGAF in a huge way. Like, it was basically an endorsed witch hunt because that thread was allowed to exist. It was allowed to grow, fester, and it was an organized harassment effort. It's really as simple as that. And NeoGAF not only tolerated it, but basically encouraged it. And the behavior that I've seen from that forum in many ways has been absolutely deplorable over the last few years. They have witch hunted a lot of people. You know, they banned Boogie, for God's sake. How do you ban Boogie? What? How is it possible?
I remember when that happened, and Boogie was like, I honestly have no idea what I did.
How is it even possible to ban somebody like that? I've of like the two sites that I think I've received the most directed harassment from, one is 4chan and the other one is NeoGAF. On one of those sites, I expect to be shitty. The other one is supposedly the central hub of the games industry.
Right.
I do not expect bullshit from them, but I have had plenty of it. So, like, to me, a site like NeoGAF, it should exist, but certainly not in that form. You know, it became a ideological echo chamber. It became a place where dissenting opinion was terrible and banned. Literally, you know, they just banned people for it. Now it's become even worse because the guy apparently has one mod account and is just doing black box banning of pretty much everybody. No explanation, no accountability.
But the site's down now,
No,
right?
it's back
Oh,
up. He put it back
Oh,
up because of,
okay.
you know, and he pledged to continue with it. Anyone that sticks around on that site after this, I can't take you seriously. Ultimately, the guy who's running it is at best a massive creep lord, at worst a fucking criminal. So no,
Yeah.
don't.
It blows my mind in situations like that when you look into it and some of the first responses you see are people being like,
Well, where am I gonna get my games news?
Oh,
I'm like,
oh no.
yeah, there's nowhere else you can
Yeah, that's
go where
impossible.
a possible assailant is running the whole fucking thing.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
what?
yeah, but what about the insider games
What
information?
NeoGAF?
Oh, fuck that. You know, they tolerated that shit, like, very much. I don't have a huge amount of respect for the rats that kind of left that sinking ship. You know, this was a known open secret for a long time. It wasn't even a secret. The guy had publicly admitted to horrendous shit earlier, and people tolerated it.
Yeah.
You know? So, good riddance, frankly, to bad rubbish. I hope that everybody that posted there that is valuable to the industry and had some real insight goes somewhere else and uses that.
Yeah.
Because NeoGAF, you know, in its current form, clearly does not deserve to continue to exist. It's a horrible place that literally made the games industry worse by its presence and resulted in harassment of a lot of people, witch hunting, and terrible behavior. So it can go to hell,
Yeah.
frankly.
I'm down with that site dying.
Yep. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
I'm cool with it.
I'm entirely cool
Feel free
with
to
that.
die.
Yep. Right, outside of that, we'll have a quick look and see what else there was on the news. Not a huge amount. I know Blizzard added more social features. You can now gift people Hearthstone packs.
Oh yeah,
through
you
the
can
BattleNet clients.
You can make like a group that isn't tied to one game now.
Yeah.
So like you can like say that you have a group of friends that you typically play all of your Blizzard games with. You can create a group inside of the client versus needing to like create the group individually in Diablo and in WoW and in whatever else.
It doesn't surprise me. Like, Blizzard has been really focused in many ways of getting people into their ecosystem, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like where, oh, you play
It's
Blizzard
not about
games.
one game, it's about
Blizzard's
Blizzard.
games.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot of cross promo for a long time as a direct result of that, and it makes perfect sense. So having those groups across games, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have played pretty much all the Blizzard games and maybe still play one or two of them. So having this overall group, especially now they've brought Destiny 2 in, and I wonder how much more they're going to be doing with that.
Right.
Maybe bringing in other Activision properties. Then, yeah, you're creating a sort of social space that will work pretty well for that. So I think that's a good idea. Honestly, the more social features that the BattleNet client has, the better. And especially with Real ID, there's a lot that you can do to communicate through that client.
I'm just hoping it doesn't have... I mean, some people would probably find this really useful, but I'm hoping it doesn't have some kind of a ping feature, because as of right now, the usefulness of like, oh, this person from your group is currently playing this game, that already happens with your friends list, right? Like, if I have the Blizzard client open, if I have BattleNet open, I will see like, oh, Gmart's playing Diablo, right? Like, it'll tell me that. So I'm hoping that the way that they utilize that isn't going to be something along the lines of, you started playing Diablo. Do you want to inform your group?
Yeah,
like,
that
do
would
you
be a
want to
bit
ask your
obnoxious,
group
yeah.
to play with you?
Well, the cool thing is they also have added the appear offline option. So I have a feeling they're
That is
probably
true.
adding enough options in there to make sure that people are not annoyed
like
by
you're
other
like, "No.
people's presence. Yep.
Don't
Don't want
fucking
any of
bother
that.
me.
Yeah, leave me alone. Well, thankfully there was now a leave me alone button, so
Right.
that's good. I think that's going to be quite useful. Most of us have the BattleNet client on for some reason or another, so I might as well use it as a way to contact people. Let's see. Outside of that, well, Battleborn's last update happened. Goodbye, I guess.
Bye, Battleborn.
Yeah, I'm still kind of sad about that, but
Yeah.
that could not have been botched any harder.
Yeah.
This
Had a lot of good shit executed poorly.
terribly launched, badly executed,
Yeah.
marketed awfully, and Randy Pitchford doesn't know when to shut up. Simple answers.
It's just a,
He's a PR disaster for those guys. I wish he'd stop. Alright, I think that pretty much wraps us up outside of the release list. So we'll be having a little look at some of the releases. We have trawled through a little bit and found a few things. Don't expect it to be particularly
We're not going
massive this
super
week.
in depth this
Yeah,
week. There's
we
just
kind of had
a
to
few
dive
things
this
where
in
we
at
were
the
like,
last
we
moment.
know this is good.
Yeah, pretty much. So, of course, Destiny 2 is out today, as of a few hours ago. Available on the BattleNet client exclusively on the BattleNet client, actually, for PC.
Right.
Hidden Agenda also, I believe, came out yesterday, possibly. That was a download-only game from the guys that made Until Dawn. Really interested in playing that, because it has some weird sort of competitive co-op hidden agenda kind of features, as you'd expect. It's called Hidden Agenda.
Right.
So I think
You're
that
in a
would
group,
be...
but are you?
Yeah, if we could
Yeah.
maybe get a few people to sit down from the PlayStation tomorrow and give that a run. Apparently it's like a couple of hours of kind of an FMV style game.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see how that works. I still don't fully understand it because I was afraid of watching a video with spoilers in it.
Sure.
So I want to give it a try though. Yesterday we had the release of High Hell as well, which was the game that I talked about yesterday. Big FPS, speed running, monkey saving, money burning, jump off the roof game.
Right.
Sure, Devolver.
Great.
It's Devolver. We know how it goes. As of October the 25th, there was a pretty cool thing that I found here called Rogue Quest: The Vault of the Lost Tyrant, which is a really neat-looking game.
You actually already have the tab open.
Yeah, I do indeed, yeah. So we're not showing all these on screen at the minute because we don't have all our crazy overlays and setup from...
Yeah, Rogue Quest looks cool.
Yep, it looks pretty neat. It's got the very old sort of LucasArts style of graphics and some interesting puzzle solving and all that sort of thing, so I was kind of into that. There's an interesting-looking traditional roguelike called Xenomarine, which is currently in early access, coming out on the same day. And I like the idea of sci-fi roguelikes. I really enjoyed Sword of the Stars, The Pit, so maybe that game could be good as well. And there is also a follow-up to a game that I quite enjoyed called Battle Void, and this is Battle Void Sector Siege, which is big spaceship battles and all sorts of things like that, and you know I like that stuff, so big sort of top-down capital ship battles and crazy stuff. So yeah, I will definitely look into that because the release they did on PC was pretty cool. Let's see, I don't think there was really anything else on the 25th that really caught any of our eyes.
Not really anything on the 26th either.
Yeah, I think 27th is the big one because, of course, we have Wolfenstein
Assassin's
2,
Creed
the new
and
Colossus.
Wolfenstein.
Nice thing about Wolfenstein 2, by the way, is we're supposed to be getting review codes for that today, which actually means Bethesda has backed off their 24-hour review code strategy, which is good because they gave us Evil Within a few days early, and we're actually going to get a bit of time to check this out. I have no doubt Wolfie's going to be good, but it's nice to be able to check that out beforehand. And of course, Assassin's Creed Origins is on that day as well, and I believe, even though for some reason it's not on the damn release list, the new Mario game is out this. I think it is in the 27th. I'm almost.
God, that would make a lot of sense
sure.
because
Yeah, it's
so many
always the
people are like, I
Friday.
need to finish all my games before Mario Odyssey comes out.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey.
October 27th.
Yep, October 27th release date for that. I haven't played a proper Mario game in a very, very long time. So I am intrigued to give this a shot.
Every time we have somebody on the show or every time we know somebody who's touched that game, they're like, what a delightful Mario game.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm
kind
kinda
of
happy to give that a try.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, I didn't really see anything else that looked particularly interesting on the list, I'm afraid. But it's not like you're lacking games this week. There's a lot of stuff to play, so that is probably for the best. We're pretty much done, folks. Thank you very much for watching the just an impromptu two-person podcast from the Duga Bunker, or whatever. Call it that.
Somebody called it the Duger Citadel, and I think
Duger Citadel.
That sounds
Okay.
a little too intense, maybe.
Yeah,
Duger Bunker sounds my speed.
Yeah, little underground, keep away from people sort of place.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be fine with that. Nice anti-social space, away from the burning heat of outside, of which there is quite a lot of
Thank
right
God.
now.
I'm so glad that we had the AC rerouted into my room before this heat wave happened.
Always a good idea. But that's us pretty much done. Thank you very much for watching the Co-optional Podcast. And, of course, big thanks to our sponsor, Squarespace. Head to squarespace.com/co-optional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. We'll be back next week with... I don't know if Jesse's back, but we will have a full crew regardless. We'll figure it out one way or the other.
Yeah.
We'll, of course, be back from BlizzCon. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about from there. And everything that you would expect from a usual show. So... usual setup, all that kind of thing, rather than us just sitting in the office with a little thing at the bottom of the screen, which is fine. I'm glad you all tuned in for it anyway. Hopefully you found that
I hope you
entertaining.
enjoyed.
Indeed, and if you missed the Co-optional Lounge, we are currently trying our best to get that up on YouTube, but
Oh my god, yeah, watch it if you get the chance.
yeah, if you go to twitch.tv/twitchpresents, it's in the day 3 big 5-hour VOD about 2.5 hours in. So go check that out. It will be up on YouTube when we can. We're literally having to film the thing again from Twitch in order to put it up, which is a giant pain in the ass. But we'll manage it eventually. Thank you very much for watching the show, folks, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.